Ground ball. McLean, second. 12 in a row. The oldest team in professional baseball has its 5th ever winning streak of a dozen straight.
Our job every day is to try to kick somebody's ass. I mean, that's why we're here.
That is caught. Left center. Reds win.
And this ball is launched high and very deep to right, long gone. It's second of the night. Ellie De La Cruz.
Short lead for Pena. Larkin, do you believe this? That's going to be gone. Back to back. Walk-off home runs. How about this? He's back. He's back. He's back.
And a swing and a drive. Deep left field. This one belongs to the Reds. Swung on and hit deep to left field. That ball is going to be gone. Home run. And the Reds put it 5-4.
Goes to second one. Around to first. Got a double play. And the Reds sweep the Cubs. Breaking ball. Hit high. Hit deep. Way back there. And gone. Into the second deck and left. Christian Encarnacion Strand walks it off.
Archer does it in his major league debut. He gets the final 3 outs, and the Reds get an extra inning win. A thriller 5-4.
Swung on. Fly ball. Hit the deep right field. That ball is going to be gone. A grand slam home run by Mike Cameron.
2 outs, 2 on. Reds down by 1. Larkin down the line. It's a winning. It's a winning. Here comes Tucker. Here comes Steins. Larkin's won the game. Barry Larkin gets mobbed. Look at this scene. It's synergy.
The stretch, the pause in the pitch, and a line drive, base hit left center field. A single for Aaron Boone, and this one belongs to the Reds. The Reds have won 8 in a row.
Kobayashi with a long look turns it loose, and Dunn hits it to deep right. It's all over, and this one belongs to the Reds. The Reds have won their 5th game in a row. They've defeated the Cleveland Indians on an Adam Dunn 3-run home run, 4-2. Again on the corners at first and third. 2 on, nobody out. Here's Royce Ring pitching, no bunt. Ground ball by the third baseman into left field. Dave Bruce rounds third, and this one belongs to the Reds.
That's it pretty good. Guess what? He doesn't need speed. That's gone. He's the king of the Queen City tonight.
With 1 out here in the 11th inning, you sure got to go now. One out, pull down the left field line. That ball is going to get the winning run in. Here comes Dave Bruce rounding third, heading toward the plate, and this one belongs to the Reds.
Huge situation for Votto. Why you paying the big bucks to deliver the goods with 2 outs in the 9th inning? Can he do it? In the gap, right center field, and Votto delivers the goods.
Hit deep center field. Hank Hill going back at the warning track. Oh, he got one. It's gone. Joey Votto is delivered.
All right, real quick before we go ahead and get into the intro, Max, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. I can hear you too. Reds fans, sorry for the delay. Complete catastrophe of technical difficulties. Push us back about 15 minutes or so. But welcome to the Chatterbox Reds live pregame show. I hope you can forgive us for being late. It is a Monday, May 19th, 2025. And Max, the Reds won 4 in a row. Things are looking up. Reds are at 500, 24 and 24. Huge week ahead, 6 divisional games. And we're here to preview not only today's game, but this 3-game set in Pittsburgh. How are we feeling heading into game 1?
I feel much better now. Everything before the show is a disaster. I could finally hear you, and then your computer decided to restart, which was maybe the funniest part of that. But yeah, I'm feeling good. I mean, how can you not be feeling good? 4 straight wins, I believe. Yeah, and Will Benson's the greatest left-handed hitter to ever play. So yeah, you have to be feeling good right now.
Yeah, shout out to Chris H in the chat. Will Benson is in the lineup, and it feels like the Reds accidentally called up Barry Bonds 40 games into the season. I mean, this guy's on an unbelievable tear. I mean, you really can't overstate how good that he's been. I mean, he just won the Reds. It feels like he won them 3 games. There's nothing else to say about it. We'll go ahead and get into the post-game recap. Reds won 3-1 yesterday, sweep of the Guardians, finished the week at 4-2 after, you lose 2 to the White Sox on Tuesday and Wednesday, and it feels like the sky's falling, and then all of a sudden you beat the White Sox and you don't get swept, which is something we'll get into. The Reds have not been swept this year. And then you sweep a team that is, I believe, in third in the division, but they have an insanely good record. Comparatively, I believe they would be just like a game up on the Cardinals right now in the National League Central. So, you're feeling really good after that. And obviously, we talked about Will Benson. We'll talk about him more. And then this week, the Reds get a big addition, as Terry Francona stated earlier today. Hunter Green is set to return on Friday, City Connect uniforms, as the Reds take on the first-place Chicago Cubs. Max, what are you thinking after the Guardians series? Want to know really what you were thinking after that horrid beginning to the White Sox series, and headed into this week. What do you think is a good week for the Reds?
Looking back on last week, it couldn't really have gone much worse at the start of the week, and then you end the week with a sweep over Cleveland, and it just feels like, I don't know, you just feel so much better about everything, and especially after this Pirates series. Schedule really does get tough, so I think this is a really big series for the Reds to at least get to. This is a series you can't lose, and yeah, I think they need to win tonight to get on a good track, because they never win the last 2 games of series, as we've talked about before. They can't do that for some reason. So yeah, and then I don't want to look ahead too much, but Green obviously starting Friday, and I think that'll also line up with Abbott and Lodolo pitching against the Cubs as well. So we'll hopefully have our best 3 pitchers out there. And yeah, I mean, tonight we have a big one, and Lodolo's pitched well lately, so hopefully we'll get another Lodolo start tonight.
Yeah, I fully agree with that, and it's not to look ahead to the Cubs. Again, the streak's still alive that the Reds haven't won a series in almost 2 calendar years if they don't win the opener. So tonight's game is huge, and it's especially huge to miss Paul Skeens after what he did to the Phillies yesterday. Paul Skeens went 8 innings yesterday, did take the loss because he pitches for the Pittsburgh Pirates. 8 innings, I think he struck out 9, allowed 1 run. It's so huge to avoid him. Obviously, Mitch Keller is much more than just a formidable starter. We'll get into him here in a little bit. Preview the starting pitching matchups for the series tonight. We'll get into this a little more in depth and let the rest of the crew handle tomorrow, and then we'll handle Wednesday. Nick Lodolo and Mitch Keller pitching matchup tonight. Nick Martinez and Bailey Falter is Tuesday's starting pitching matchup, and then we'll be live around 11:30 on Wednesday for Brady Singer and Andrew Heaney in the finale. We'll go ahead and start with Lodolo. He's been solid, but he hasn't been, what we want out of Lodolo, a dominant left-handed guy. Still 3-4 on the year, 3.42 ERA. Versus the Pirates in his career, he has only faced them 5 times. Tonight is number 6. 2-2, a 4.3 ERA, but he does have 37 strikeouts in 23 innings. And the recent trend for Lodolo is that if he gives up a homer the next start, he's just been lights out. So he gave up a homer. I believe it was in Miami where this trend started. He gave up a home run. The Reds end up losing that game. His next start goes out against Colorado, dominant. Gave up a homer. His next start, can't quite remember off the top of my head who that was against, dominates Atlanta. And then he gives up a homer in his last start against the White Sox. And hopefully that trend continues and he's dominant in Pittsburgh tonight.
Yeah, they need a good Lodolo start. The bullpen, I think, is still pretty taxed after that bullpen game. We weren't on that night, but incredible game Saturday night from the pitching staff and everyone. But I think that could have an effect this series. You use pretty much everyone in the bullpen. Pagan's pitched the last few days, so if Lodolo can get deep into the game tonight, I think that'll really help out the Reds pitching staff.
Yeah, I think for him, the main key is not overthrowing. It feels like whenever he, is real amped up and he gets out there and he knows the team needs him, sometimes he can do that thing where he overthrows the fastball, the changeup, and he's missing outside or he's hanging a breaking ball. Just similar to what I want to see from Lodolo is what he did in his first start against San Francisco. He wasn't striking guys out, but he got deep into that game by forcing ground balls and, forcing weak contact. And I really think a big thing for Lodolo is commanding the first pitch strike and then playing the changeup, fastball, curveball combo off that, and hopefully getting guys to roll over, a low and away changeup. Pirates are, I believe, stacking a lot of righties tonight against him. So it's going to be huge for him to at least get 6. Anything above 6, I feel like, is a bonus. But 6 for Lodolo tonight would be massive to rest the bullpen, especially Pagan and Santillan and those guys that have thrown 2-3 days in a row. We'll get into the bullpen availability later on. But I'm really, really looking forward to seeing a good Nick Lodolo start. And the current trends say that he's due.
Yeah, and there's really no excuse, and we'll get into that to the Pirates lineup, but there's no excuse against this Pirates lineup. It is about as putrid on paper as it gets. I'll go ahead and start with Mitch Keller on the pitching side. Career ERA over 6 in his career against the Reds. This will be his 18th start. So far, the series 1-5 with an ERA just over 4. And we know what Mitch Keller does. He's going to throw the fastball and sinker a lot. His sinker usage is way down this year compared to previous years. It's been hit really hard this year. And there's guys in the Reds lineup that have faced Keller a lot. Stevenson, 5 for 18. Friedel is 1 for 18 against Keller. Ellie, 2 for 11, and Benson 0 for 10. So that's interesting. A lot of the guys in the Reds lineup tonight have had struggles in their career against Mitch Keller, but Spencer Steer does have a homer. And Spencer Steer's also been hitting well, which has been good to see. So what are your thoughts on the matchup against Mitch Keller tonight?
Yeah, like you said, the Reds against him, there's good in Steer and Stevenson, and then there's bad against Mitch Keller with Ellie, Friedel, and Benson especially. I mean, 2 for 11, that's not a huge sample size. I don't necessarily think 0 for 10 is either, but I think 6 strikeouts and an 0 for 10 against Keller for Will Benson is not great. But this is a different Will Benson, I feel like, and obviously it's a super small sample size. He's 4 or 5 games, he's been fantastic, but it feels like he's finally commanding the zone, and he's more reacting up there than sitting on a certain pitch and then trying to destroy that certain pitch. And in San Francisco, that's what he felt like he was doing, was overswinging at what he thought was fastball from Justin Verlander, and it was a slider that was in his wheelhouse and he could hit, but he wasn't hitting it because he was sitting on something, and if he didn't get it, well, then he's cooked. And that's just not how it's been with Benson to start. Stevenson has hit him hard, as has Steer. 4 of Steer's 6 hits against him have gone for extra bases, 3 doubles and a homer. Stevenson double, triple, homer, and 5 hits. I think you're going to need to lean on those guys tonight if you're the Reds. We'll get into talking about Santiago Espinal, who actually hasn't faced Mitch Keller before. Seeing a lot of Espinal love in the comments right now. But, we'll go ahead and move into the Reds lineup. Friedel, Espinal, De La Cruz, and Hayes, same top 4. Lux will DH. Steer, Benson, Stevenson, and Matt McClain will bat in the 9 hole to round it out. And we'll talk about Espinal in the 2 hole. I've kind of come around to the fact that I may not love it, but I'm not a Hall of Fame manager, and maybe he's going to hit well there. He hasn't, he's gotten on base a decent amount in the last few games. He makes great contact, and if Friedel gets on, it feels like Espinal is not going to ground into a double play. Is basically how it feels for me, him batting in the 2 hole. Obviously, I would like to have Ellie bat there. I'd like to have Benson, Hayes, McClain even bat there at some point. But, what are your feelings on Espinal there? What are your feelings on McClain in the 9 hole? Just the overall feeling in the lineup.
I haven't been as upset as a lot of people with McClain moving down in the lineup. I don't think we need to rush him back to the top. I think it's good that he's hitting well at the bottom of the order. I think we need to see that for a few weeks and let him get some confidence back and then move him back up to the 2 hole. I personally would hit him lead off, but I think Tito is going to hit Ellie 3rd every day of the year. I mean, if he's hitting Espinal 2nd, then I think that's just a tell that he's not going to hit Ellie higher than that. I wouldn't have Espinal 2nd personally. He had a good series against Cleveland, but that's not where I'd go. I'd probably have Lux hitting 2nd, honestly, and then keep Hayes clean up and go from there. But that's just what I would do. I don't know. It's hard to say stuff like that though when they've won 4 in a row and Espinal's played well. But and Ellie, I really want to see get it going as well. He had those, I think it was 3 homers in 6 games, something like that. But the Cleveland series is really rough. He had 4 strikeouts Saturday. Didn't really look that good again yesterday. He did have a stolen base, but I think a big series from Ellie would be nice, and I have no reason to believe that won't happen.
Yeah, it felt like for Ellie, he started to get hot, and then it was kind of like you're trying to start a fire. Sometimes you get something going that fizzles out, and it felt like the Cleveland series he fizzled a little bit. It didn't have a great series, but I definitely think this is a bounce back chance. Again, he's 2 for 11 with a double against Keller. But an interesting note: the Reds have actually struggled a ton in PNC Park over the last few years. They have lost 41 of 59 at PNC Park. Out of the last 59 games, they've lost 41 of them.
Those are the David Bell Reds. These are the Terry Francona Reds.
Sometimes I'm not exactly sure if there's a huge difference there, but it's at the end of the day, this is a series you really need to win. I'm not going to go out on the limb and say it was a must win. I say this a lot during football season. World War II was a must win. I'm not sure if a May series against the Pittsburgh Pirates is a must win, but it feels like stacking series victories would be huge for this team. Stacking not getting swept has been huge for this team, and that's really the only reason they are 4.5 back in both the division and in the wild card. Do you think that there's any strategy into them not getting swept, or has it just been kind of luck of the draw in the early part of the year?
I don't know about strategy. I think maybe it's just the way, Tito reacts to a couple straight losses. It's not as chalk as it was with, David Bell is like, yeah, we'll go play tomorrow or whatever. Tito is, I think, more direct to the guys, and I think that could be something that leads to it. But I don't think, like watching the games, I don't think there's anything like strategically they do different or anything like that. Like the strategy last Thursday was Will Benson hit a home run and then McLean homer. Like that's nothing major that they can just decide to happen. So I think it's just how it plays out.
Yeah, and the clip plays, in the intro video and everything. But Tito said this spring, it's our job to go kick somebody's ass every day. That's our job. 162 times a year, and hopefully more if you can find your way into some October baseball. But it feels like that's the job. If the Reds have lost 4 in a row, if they've won 4 in a row, no matter the situation, that's their job is to go out and, like he says, kick somebody's ass every day. And that's been really what they've done all year is they haven't let things get them down is what I felt like. I believe they lost 4 in a row at one point, and that might be the longest losing streak they have all year with the way that they play, when things get bad. We'll go ahead and move into the Pirates lineup, what they have tonight against Nick Lodolo. Max, you have that?
Yeah, Ke'Bryan Hayes leading off, playing third. A lot of righties stacked tonight against Lodolo, as you would expect. McCutchen hitting second, Reynolds in right, batting third. He's really struggled this year. Joey Bart catching, Alexander Canario in center. He's a former Cub prospect. Nick Solak playing first, and then the last 3 is Tommy Pham in left, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa at short, and Jared Triolo at second. No O'Neill Cruz tonight. Platoon O'Neill Cruz. It's what it seems like. They don't seem to have much faith in him against left-handed pitching. So it's a bat off the bench for them tonight. What do you think about the Pirates lineup?
I thought it was odd there was no O'Neill Cruz. I mean, small sample size again, but he is 2 for 8 against Lodolo in his career. And, maybe it's a scheduled day off, possibly. We're kind of getting into the season where it's like guys are starting to get beat up more than they were in April. Again, Brian Reynolds, he's really struggled this year, but he is 5 for 12 with a double against Lodolo in his career. Ke'Bryan Hayes, not a guy you think of really as a super offensive threat, but he's homered and doubled against Lodolo. And I think this is again, a spot where Nick can really dominate and show, strut his stuff against a divisional opponent that the Reds have not had success against in that park. An interesting note on Lodolo, though, I was a bit surprised to see this. His ERA with Tyler Stevenson catching in his career, he has a 6.41. Trevino, who we all love Jose Trevino, as this man's a doubles machine, and it's really come out of nowhere. But Lodolo has a 2.66 if Trevino is his partner in the battery. I don't against the Pirates, it may not matter, but I did find that interesting as to what the strategy is for Tito and company, and maybe the comfort level of Lodolo with Stevenson behind the plate. Do you have any thoughts on why that may be?
I don't know. That is interesting. I didn't know that. Trevino, they have. Do you know how many innings Trevino and Lodolo have done together? It can't be many, right?
I believe it was 4 or 5 starts. I believe is what it is. It's not many.
Yeah, it's not a huge sample size, but the fact that Stevenson's ERA with him is that high is very interesting. I haven't really noticed anything. I think Stevenson has become a good, uh, catcher behind the plate. He's not just an offensive threat anymore. So I think that's been good to see. I always find it weird, you know, calling out people's game calling and stuff because ultimately he's the one calling the pitches, but we don't know like what Trevino would call against what Stevenson would call, and Lodolo has the right to shake as well. So I don't think I really read too much into that.
Yeah, I just thought it was an interesting note, really.
Yeah,
But moving into, we've discussed how much Nick Lodolo needs to go deep tonight. Moving to bullpen usage, I think there's 3 guys for the Reds tonight that I don't think you are going to see. Dire straits, maybe Brent Suter, but I definitely think Pagan and Santillan are inactive tonight. Do you think there's a stretch that possibly you could see Santillan or any of those guys?
no, I think Pagan is absolutely down today, and probably Santillan as well. I do think there's a chance in a pinch that we could see Suter, just because it seems like he's got a rubber arm, and you know, I think we could see him, but I'd lean not as well. Who say we're up 3-1 in the ninth? Who would you put into close?
So I actually thought about this. I wrote some stuff down. Ashcraft, he had that terrible save opportunity in Atlanta. It is what it is. This is obviously a very different lineup than the one they had down in Cobb County. Taylor Rogers, depending on matchups, I think is an option. And then I'm still all for, let's see what Luis May has in this spot. The guy obviously his velo was a bit down yesterday. I think that's kind of a product on pitching back-to-back days. And I don't want to have to use him on a third day unless it is a necessity. But I definitely think it's 3-1 in the ninth. You've got a save spot. Ashcraft is the number one call I make. Unless you've already had to burn him earlier in the game. But hopefully that's not the case. And that's why I think Barlow and Lyon Richardson are the keys to this game for the Reds pitching staff. If Lodolo is only able to get you 5, then you can lean on Lyon Richardson for 2 innings. But even if he's able to get you 6 and you're in a spot where you're, okay, we can go win this game, I think Lyon Richardson can give you the 7th and the 8th if possible. He's been really solid, his changeup and working with the sinker and fastball combination. He definitely is a key for the Reds if they want to take this opener tonight.
Yeah, I've really liked the Lyon Richardson outing so far this year. A couple rough ones. I think he had a rough one in Atlanta, and then the other day he gave up a homer, but that was a GABP special, if I'm remembering correctly. So yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Ashcraft again in the ninth. I think there's a scenario where you see Rogers, but the lineup's all lefties tonight, all righties tonight. So I don't think we'll see Rogers in a closing situation. I definitely think we could see him at some point because Tito doesn't really seem to care much about matchups and stuff like that. He'll put the guy in he wants to. So, yeah, I think ideally, if they could get 6 from Lodolo, and like you said, Richards had given the 7th and 8th, then I think we could see Ashcraft in the 9th. But I do think tonight we'll see Barlow at some point. Tito seems to like Barlow a lot, so I think he could come in as well. I think he could be a 9th inning guy.
Yeah, it's definitely up for grabs in these. You see spot starts, you don't see spot saves a ton, but unless you're in the World Series, which hopefully one day we'll see the Reds in that World Series. We'll do predictions here in a minute. We'll go ahead and go through the weather and the National League Central. It's a little bit of a chilly night in Pittsburgh, low 60s, high 50s, partly cloudy. National League Central, again, the Reds are 4.5 back in both the division and the wild card standings as the National League is stacked. You got 4 NL West teams that have 20-plus wins. Obviously, beating up on the Rockies might help in that case, but that's neither here nor there. The Cubs, they play the Marlins tonight at 6:40, opening up a 3-game set. The Cardinals are hosting currently the best team in baseball in the Detroit Tigers. Game 1, that's at 7:45. The Brewers, who have been doing their best Cincinnati Reds impression at the plate lately, have not been playing very well. They host another team that has been just abysmal in the Baltimore Orioles at 7:40. And the Pirates the Pirates play the Mets at 7:10 was from our last show. Still had that typed down. Obviously, Pirates playing the Reds here in about 29 minutes. Predictions tonight. Max, I'll let you go first on this one. You have any predictions for tonight's game?
Yeah, I say it's a Reds win. I think it's kind of a high-scoring game. I'll say 8-5, and I think Tyler Stevenson goes deep, and Benson will go deep again. Why not?
Yeah, so I actually had the Reds win 6-1 is what I had. But either way, we're both on the same page. The Reds are going to win this game. Again, not a must-win, but it feels like it'd be pretty damn nice to have. Is the way that I look at it. You'd like to be, 25-24 over 24-25. I'll take that all day. But I don't know if the homer streak continues, but I definitely think this version of Will Benson gets his first hit off Mitch Keller in his career tonight. I definitely think Spencer Steer will go deep. And hopefully, the Reds get off on the right foot tonight in Pittsburgh. They're able to pick up the opener, set themselves up for the opportunity to go get another series win and go get another sweep. Any final thoughts headed into tonight's game before we close out?
Just one thing on Benson and his streak right now. It's different than the Aquino and the Hines streaks because those were mostly all fastballs. Benson is tearing up breaking balls. A lot of his homers have been on non-fastballs, and I think that's been a very welcome sight to see him, just sitting fastball and adjusting to breaking ball. I think it's been really nice to see. And I was thinking that maybe Keller could kind of pitch around Benson because he's so hot, but then Stevenson's 5 for 18 off Keller. He's hit him pretty well. So I don't know. I think this kind of forces him to pitch to Benson, and Thier obviously is homered off him as well, right in front of Benson. So yeah, I think the bottom of the order tonight could have a big night.
Yeah, 6 through 9, definitely some pop in the 6 through 9 part of the lineup. It's a lot different than it felt when we were hosting our first of these shows back in early April when the Reds were in Milwaukee. For me, Benson, just the big thing. I think all 4 of his home runs in this, or 4 out of the 5 of his home runs in this streak have come on breaking balls. I know all 4 that were in the Guardians series. I think it's Reds in 4 that posts it, or maybe Reds Daily that posts the home runs with, from each broadcast point of view with the calls and everything. The Guardians TV broadcast noticed that they were all on sliders. Every one of them, every time they threw him a breaking ball, he is mashing this thing to the moon. And, Mitch Keller, he throws a lot of pitches. Obviously, the fastball sinker combination's big, but Benson, I think if he gets a breaking ball tonight, Keller hangs one. I agree with you. I definitely think he can go deep. That's my final thought, and we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Go tune into Reds Live. A reminder to watch the post-game show tonight. Trace and Nick will be live in the 9th. We'll look forward to seeing you all again on Wednesday for Hunter Hurst, or for Max Alfonso, excuse me. I'm Hunter Hurst. Been a bit of a wonky show here, but forgive us, it's Monday. Go Reds, and we'll see you guys on Wednesday.